Welcome back, Nerglings. Today we're taking a look at the origins of the foul Beastmen. But before we start, be sure to comment, like and subscribe so you don't miss an update. I looked up into the sky and there I saw my doom, lithesome yet dread. What creatures were these? How many tortures would I endure before peace was mine? 1,000 wretched forms, united only by a hatred that never ends. Malign and savage to the last, they brim with bitterness for the works of man. The Beastmen, sometimes known as the Beast Kin, the Cloven Ones, the Horned Ones, the Beasts of Chaos, or even the Children of Chaos, are a race of savage, mutant humanoids. They bear various traits of bestial appearance, such as cloven hooves, muscular human bodies, horned bestial heads, and a malign, primitive intelligence. Proud of their origins, it is said they are the descendants of ancient humans, corrupted and twisted by the influence of chaos at the dawn of the coming of chaos into the world. The horned head of a Gore is often used as a symbol to represent all beastmen. From deep within the twisted, forested woodlands of the old world and beyond, the Beastmen are a violent, war-driven race that seek only to plague and destroy the civilizations of mankind. They prey on the weak and defenseless, striking at lonely settlements without warning in a rampage of destruction before disappearing into the protective darkness of their dark wilderness, running away from the dire retribution that fails to follow. To the citizens of the Empire, Bretonia, and the other nations of the old world, the Beastmen have come to represent creatures from a half-remembered age of nightmare. Men deceive themselves that the danger has passed, that they are safe in their walled towns, that their steel and gunpowder, wizards' arts and engineers' creations will hold at bay the lowly beast things that haunt the woodlands. Men tell themselves that the creatures of the forest are disorganized and incapable of fielding armies that can threaten their high-walled cities. They are quite wrong, for to underestimate the Beastmen is a fatal mistake. The Cloven Ones are creatures of violence and conflict, and they are far more cunning than the Empire believes. Worse still, the more noble and haughty the foe, the more the Beastmen are driven to prove their own supremacy by casting him down from his lofty pedestal and trampling his body beneath blood-encrusted, filthy hooves. As such, these unruly, coarse and foul creatures would go to war with savage intent, slaughtering the civilized races like cattle, burning down and shattering their homes, and stomping on the remains with their cloven hooves until there is nothing left but devastation and ruin. It is said that so long as chaos reigns over this world, the Beastmen shall plague the lands of mankind for all eternity. The origins of the Beastmen are tied closely with the origins of mankind itself. Indeed, long before the collapse of the northern and southern poles, there was no such thing as Beastmen living within the world of that ancient age. By this time, mankind was still a fledgling and unknown race, still confined to lands far from the reaches of the ancient civilizations of the dwarves and elves. The Old Ones, ancient beings of incredible power, had stood guard upon this fledgling world, staving off the undesirable races and seeding the world with the first true forms of life. However, a catastrophic event had occurred in an unknown point in time that has since cursed the world to its inevitable damnation. A great calamity befell the world. The great polar warp gates, once a marvel of technology, had collapsed, and with them, the raw stuff of chaos flowed like a river upon the harsh, lifeless lands of the northern and southern wastes. boiling out from the wound within reality itself were the demons and their warping powers of magic. The effects of the gate's destruction created all manner of abominations, and from these abominations came the first incursion of chaos, and the first of the Beastmen. As the fabric of reality was torn asunder, from the skies came pulsing comets of mysterious rock, contrails of unlight flaring in their wake as they plummeted towards the untamed forests. The lands were pounded and punished as if by the fists of the gods themselves. Huge chunks of solidified chaos energy thrown from the collapsing dimensional gates set aflame the skies. They crashed into the world like meteors, felling endless tracts of forest and burying themselves inside massive craters of scorched earth. With each impact, the land was infected further by the raw stuff of chaos. Its insidious taint worked outward into the fertile soil, suckled upon by the roots of ancient trees and seeping into the air breathed by the nomads and the beasts that populated the lands. As chaos infected the lands like a malign cancer, the ancient forests of the world began to stir, writhing with corrupted energies. The primitives of the land and the beast of the forest have merged into beings of both man and beast. In time, the offspring of these creatures spread throughout the wilderness of the world, gathering in the dark places before unleashing their wars upon humanity. For thousands of years, the Beastmen and their night-bred kin ruled the forests, preying upon the scattered bands of men as wolves upon sheep. Then a man came, bearing a golden hammer that was the bane of all enemies, and united the human tribes, challenging the Beastmen for dominance of the lands. This warrior elevated mankind from a collection of loosely organised tribesmen into the massive empire it is today. The time before the rise of mankind is regarded by the Beastmen both as part remembered dream and legend. The Beastmen's rituals are full of references to a time when they ruled the lands unchallenged, and a time when they shall rule again. To the Cloven Ones, the War of the Hammer heralded an age of bitterness and strife in which mankind rose to undeserved and stolen power, with the God King Sigmar unifying the human tribes into what would soon become the Empire. With their power forever broken, the Beastmen of today hate mankind with a deep loathing born of uncounted centuries of battle and righteous persecution. They seek a return to that primeval age when man was little more than prey to be hunted and devoured, where the Beastmen were considered the true masters of the world. For mankind's part, the Beastmen soon became creatures of horror and superstition, embodying and confirming their deepest fears of what might lurk in the forests of the old world. It is said in the legends of Bretonnia that the Beastmen looked out from under their forest eaves, spying upon man, and in doing so knew their impurity. While some scholars of the Empire hold that the beasts are jealous and resentful of man's ingenuity and cleanness of limb. Whatever the case, all men know that the Beastmen harbour a bitter hatred for humanity. This enmity goes far beyond jealousy or spite. It is not just man that the Beastmen despise so, but his civilization, his works, and his gods. They are a bitter, savage race that have become so blinded by their bloodlust that they are disillusioned by the hardship and suffering of their very own existence. They are so filled with justified hatred that they see humanity as the cause for their suffering. For mankind to the Beastmen is simply a reminder of a life that these creatures would never have a chance of living. That's just about all I have for you today. Be sure to tune in next time for some more wargaming content. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.